But then I was like, okay, I'm going to apply for a visa and actually go all the way and become a full-time resident, permanent resident. There's been an element of adjusting to a new culture that there's so much novelty around me all the time. There's been stretches of time where I'm like only speaking Portuguese all day long. And I think a big part of it too is like when there's an acute issue, I don't feel like it's out of the realm of possibility to go see a doctor. Like whether that's for a skin issue, dental issue. Like it's like I feel like, oh, I have more tools at my disposal to actually take care of myself when things are wrong.
Exactly.
I think that 90% of what has happened to me in Brazil has been positive. Dating is just the outlier. Dating is that 10% where I'm like, what is going on here? My apartment costs $200,000 and it's in a city. It's in like one of the nicer neighborhoods in Curitiba.
This is one of the nicest neighborhoods in the city.
Yeah. On the 12th floor, views of the mountains, like 3-bedroom. And I was just like, okay, I am in a financial position where I can like make this work.
What is up, guys? So today is Sunday. Gonna meet up with another American friend I have here. She's super cool. Met her a couple of months ago. Very interesting story, actually. But we'll talk about it during the interview. I'm gonna stop and get some coffee, I think. Maybe a snack, I don't know. But let's get into it. What is up, everybody? I am finally here with my friend Zoe. We've been trying to put this interview on for a while. Both been living some hectic lives lately, but I'm glad we finally get to put this together. So Zoe here, a very good friend of mine. She's been living in Curitiba for a little over a year now.
That's right.
And I thought it would be a great opportunity to finally get her on camera and just get another American's experience with life here in Brazil, life in Curitiba specifically. And yeah, we're just gonna have a chat, pick your brain a little bit, see what your experience has been like.
Get into it. The good, the bad, the ugly.
There's been a little of all of that.
All of that.
Since I've lived here and since you've lived here as well.
Yeah.
So we're going to get into all of it for sure. So how we met was pretty interesting.
So here's how I remember it. Should I tell it from my perspective?
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
We were looking for support with visa stuff and banking. We were like, we need to find some other Americans in Brazil who just have any idea of how to do some stuff. And so I think she Googled like Americans living in Brazil visa, and a Reddit thread popped up that you had commented on.
That's right.
That's how she found your Discord.
That's right.
Yeah.
So her sister finds my Discord that way, joins. We're chit-chatting, yada yada. And mind you, there's another American girl in that Discord already. Turns out basically we were all going to the same coffee shop and didn't know it. And the barista at this coffee shop said that he knew a girl named Zoe. And so we're in the Discord chatting like we need to find this other American Zoe. And Zoe's sister Nell was like, oh, that's my sister. So the whole time, this barista knew like every American in Curitiba apparently before we even knew each other. Yeah, I always tell people that when I talk about interesting ways that I've met people here, especially you.
Yeah. And it turns out we all live in the same neighborhood.
Yeah.
Really, this coffee shop is like the epicenter of like in between our houses. So it's really wild because Curitiba is a big city, and the fact that we all live in the same, not even the same like region, and actually the same neighborhood.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you, what was your life like before you moved to Brazil?
Yeah. So before I moved here, I was living in lots of different cities in the U.S. I started in Washington, D.C. I was working in fundraising, like working for an environmental nonprofit. And then I went to grad school in Boston to Tufts. And I was studying urban planning there. And then I moved to California and was doing more fundraising. And the whole time, it was about 5 year period, I was away from my sister, and she and I are very, very, very close. But she moved here right when the pandemic started. She actually met her partner, her now husband, on a dating app, and they had both set their settings to global. So they matched on OkCupid, and 6 months later, she moved to Brazil. And I was super excited for her, but also, again, as I said, like, we are very close, and the whole time when I was living in these different cities and sort of trying to like find my footing, now Curitiba's weather is letting us know that it's changing.
Oh yeah,
the wind
yeah,
has picked up.
Yeah. Curitiba is reminding us who's in charge right now. This whole interview, the city is like, I can end this whole thing right now if I wanted to.
That's right. You're gonna get drenched, and the timing is great. But yeah, so in the back of my head, I was always feeling like I'm not going to be fully settled until I am living in the same city as my sister. And a year ago, I got a call from her that was kind of concerning. She was dealing with a health issue, and I decided to come visit her. What I thought it would just be for a month. And after a month, I ended up not leaving Brazil. So I have been here since then.
That is wild. You're probably the only person I know that has gone to a country just to visit initially. And you got there and you're just like, I'm not leaving.
I'm not leaving.
I'm not leaving.
Yeah.
You're going to have to drag me out of here.
That's what it was. My sister said, bring your birth certificate just in case you want to stay like a little bit longer. We'll have to apply for a visa. But then I was like, okay, I'm going to apply for a visa and actually go all the way and become a full-time resident, permanent resident.
Yeah.
It's wild. No, and I moved here without like any of my winter clothing. I packed I was like, I might be here for like another month or two, but I certainly wasn't prepared to like the mental transition of leaving a country for another country is a big one, and I kind of have done that since I've gotten here. I didn't do a lot of preparing on the front end.
Okay. So before you moved here and before this like very suddenly happened for you, had you considered leaving the U.S. before? And this element of your sister being gone now just kind of pushed you to the other side of the fence? Or had you not considered leaving the U.S. before
honestly
your sister was stolen by a Brazilian?
Yeah, I studied abroad in Argentina. I traveled a lot. My mom worked for National Geographic when I was growing up, so I got to go to like Japan with her, and so traveling was always really, really important to me. But my sights were not set on leaving the country. I really felt like my whole community is in the U.S. My work prospects are all there. Like the idea of uprooting myself and like beginning a life somewhere else was not even in my peripheral view. And I knew I wanted to be with my sister, but I hadn't even fully calculated like, oh, being with your sister is going to mean immersing in another culture, like learning another language, which seems so obvious, but I was just so set. I was like, I just want to be near my one of my best friends in the world, and somebody who like I'm now building a business with, somebody who's just so important to me.
Right.
And I think a lot of the cultural, the kind of deeper process caught up with me after I really decided to do that.
I see.
Yeah.
So, since moving to Brazil, what would you say has been the thing that surprised you the most about the country? Like, what were your first impressions? Some of the things that you liked, some of the things that you maybe didn't like.
Yeah.
Basically, what was your first impression of the country, especially the city, Curitiba?
Yeah.
Because you haven't lived in other parts of Brazil yet.
Yeah. No, I've been very based in Curitiba so far. One of the things that really struck me was going clothing shopping with my sister. And I would, try things on, be ready to go in maybe half an hour. And she would just be chatting with the person working there. And the first few times this happened, I thought, do you know, like, are y'all friends? Like, why are you just talking?
Yeah.
And after like an hour passed or more, I finally went up to her and I was like, Nell, we gotta get out of here. Like, what's going on? And she really didn't want to leave. She said, like, this actually sometimes my interactions in the stores are part of my, like, social experience for the day. Like, it is not a transactional experience. We are kind of invested in each other's lives, asking questions, and I thought it was really strange at first that she would want to slow down that much and that the person working there was so interested in her life. And now that I've been learning more Portuguese, like, I do give myself way more time when I'm shopping, just in case there's a connection with somebody and
Chatty cashier.
exactly
Or,
like,
yeah.
like let it just like take the time that it takes. Sometimes I'm in a rush and that's fine too, but there's an interesting in Curitiba. I find a very interesting combination of things. There's like people don't make eye contact on the street, so it's not common to like smile or wave, or that's actually kind of a sign that something might be off with the person if they're making direct eye contact. So on the one hand, at first I felt like kind of more lonely and more like isolated.
Okay.
But then also on the other hand, like way more connected to like all of these local kind of like economic exchanges happening.
If you're in like a certain setting in a restaurant,
exactly,
talking to a cashier, it's like that's when it's more acceptable to be
totally,
you know, looking at people or talking to them randomly.
And really getting to know them. Like I made some friends in cafes, and definitely like not speaking Portuguese very well actually like opened up a lot of conversations for me. People who wanted to learn English, like we just so it felt like pretty organic to get to know people here. And also I think the other big surprise was like there are no laptops in any cafes.
Yeah.
It is shameful to try to set up. And it made me really confront my workaholism in a big way. I moved it to my house, so now I just do it in private. But actually, for real, like it's challenged me to think about like, okay, what are ways that I can actually relax on the weekends?
Right.
How can I actually put this away sometimes and find new hobbies, or just like let myself relax? Yeah, it's been a really good challenge.
This is something I actually wanted to get into a little bit later about some of the cultural differences and attitudes and mindsets when it comes to working and stuff like that. Like you said, it's like blasphemy to take a laptop to a cafe on a Sunday, right?
Very frowned upon.
You can almost tell who's maybe not Brazilian if you go to a cafe on Sunday and see who's like hustling.
It's 1 in a million.
Yeah. I've definitely noticed that as well, but yeah, we'll definitely touch on that a little bit later. What would you say are some things that you haven't necessarily liked, or something that you had to adjust to that you were like, you know, not really a fan of this, but it is what it is out here? Yeah.
I would say that I'm still learning how to cook Brazilian food. And so I think there's been an element of adjusting to a new culture, that there's so much novelty around me all the time. There's been stretches of time where I'm like only speaking Portuguese all day long. And when I get home, I want to eat food that is very familiar to me, like just to have that like comfort. And the grocery store, even finding like ingredients is hard sometimes. And I remember it was much harder. I think the first 3 months I was here, every time I went, I could feel the lack. Because like I could just feel the lack of brands that I was used to, and there's a lot of fruit and vegetables here, but like even the variety of that sometimes is not what I'm used to. So it both made me realize like the amount of privilege I was living with in the U.S. to have access to like the whole world of ingredients, and also has sort of like simplified what I eat to a pretty intense degree. And then like eating out is different, but like what I'm cooking for myself. And so, yeah, I think I miss the variety. That's what I would say.
Got you. No, I feel like my diet has simplified a lot.
Yeah.
Because I don't have the same access to the stuff that I had in the U.S.
Yeah.
Not because I don't like cooking. I actually love cooking.
Yeah.
But I've cooked so little in the last 2 years just because I can't always find the stuff that I'm used to.
And
like,
also,
I love tacos. I can eat 1,000 tacos, no problem.
Find a tortilla.
Can't find tortillas. Can't find cilantro. No, you can find cilantro here.
Yeah.
Can't find salsas.
Yeah.
You can't find the stuff to make salsa, even if you know how to make it from scratch.
And some of this I've even like just blocked out of my memory, because I'm like, I don't even want to remember a soft tortilla.
Yeah, it hurts to even think about what it was like to have like a nice Mexican street taco.
But on the other hand, it is about the same cost to eat out as it is to like eat at a restaurant.
To cook, yeah.
So I do like remind myself, you know, if I'm not feeling inspired, it's okay to just not go to the grocery store and have like a prepared meal.
Yeah, exactly. I definitely got to say something I miss is some like American food, which is weird to say.
Yeah.
Considering
we're not known.
We're not known for like food that's healthy for you.
Yeah. Yeah. But bagels.
Oh my God.
Cream cheese.
That's something that we definitely talked about. We definitely need to have a day where we like make bagels just from scratch.
We absolutely do. No, I think that Brazil's challenge to people from the US is like, learn to cook from scratch. You can make it all. You actually can. You just have to find the ingredients. You have to be creative.
Exactly. So, a lot of Brazilians do not speak English very well. It's kind of rare to find Brazilians that speak English, and even the few that do maybe don't speak it very well.
Yep.
What's been your experience with the language barrier in Brazil so far? And how have you approached learning Portuguese to like address that?
Yeah.
What's been your sort of method?
Yeah, it's a great question. I have found that people who play video games speak English super well here. Every single person who is like very fluent, that's how they learn. So I know that if I was playing video games all the time in Portuguese, I would be much further along than where I am. But my approach was basically the first 3 months I spoke no Portuguese because my sister and her partner are fluent and they were translating for me and we would just speak English at home. And then when I started living on my own, I needed to do a lot more on my own, and I started taking one-on-one lessons with a friend, and also was just in any encounter, like trying to speak, in the Uber, at the grocery store, like dating has been definitely advancing my Portuguese horizons as well, because some of the people that I've been attracted to know no English, and so it's really dependent on me to provide the Portuguese that I know. But I also took singing lessons to help with pronunciation.
You took singing lessons here?
Yeah, I took singing lessons here.
Okay.
I do not know how to sing in English, but I was learning, and it was the hardest but most generative way of learning the language, I think, so far. Like, I think that I made the most progress over those 3 months through the singing.
For me personally, I would say one of the biggest things that has helped my Portuguese as well is Uber drivers. Like when you're sitting in the back of the car, especially if they're more social or chatty, they're going to ask you about yourself. You get used to talking about what you do for a living, why you're here, especially because when I speak Portuguese, I have an accent. Maybe you do too. Your Portuguese is actually very good.
It's got an
but
accent too.
I'm sure we both have accents, and like when they hear that and kind of hear your story and stuff, you end up talking to Uber drivers like crazy.
Yeah.
Did you ever take any classes or have any books?
Yeah. So I was taking these lessons with a friend, and it was a lot of just like, I had to talk for 2 hours every week with him, and he would correct me. I spoke Spanish before, so I think that helped a lot. But I didn't, and I've been like reading more Portuguese. I've been listening to more podcasts. I'm starting to like really prefer the way that like news is transmitted and the way people speak in Portuguese. Like it actually really relaxes me to listen now. So I'm sort of transitioning a lot of my kind of pop culture from more English to Portuguese.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I haven't done a lot of like grammar practice. I need to more. A lot of my grammar practice has come from dating apps and using Google Translate, not to just go straight English to Portuguese, but to put my Portuguese in there, translate it to English, and then like try to do as much manual correction as possible.
Gotcha.
I'm not sure how much I'm learning that way, but it is happening.
Oddly enough, now that you mentioned, I've learned a lot from Google Translate because I'll type a sentence or a paragraph in English.
Yeah.
And I'll learn a bunch of words that I didn't know before.
My question is, do they stick? I'm like, are
not
they
as much.
getting in there?
Yeah. I might remember it.
Writing and actually speaking that is much more embodied.
Yeah. Definitely read if you're out to learn any foreign language, but if you're interested in Brazil, the Portuguese language, reading books is big. I know that everyone learns differently.
Yeah.
Some people learn very well just from having conversations. I do not. Like, if I just have a conversation, I don't really learn too much.
Yeah.
Something very important for me is like really learning the structure of a language, learning the grammar, which a lot of people hate.
Yeah.
But like, it doesn't really stick for me unless I learn the rules about
totally
how and why to build a sentence this way.
Absolutely. Yes.
The first book I ever read in Portuguese was Animal Farm, which was one of my favorite books. Loved George Orwell, and my friend gave me that book for my birthday a couple months ago. So, can say that I've read a book in Portuguese now.
That's so dope.
I find that when it comes to languages, I think we can be a bit hard on ourselves. Like you never really know where you stand when it comes to a foreign language. I always think that I'm still a beginner when my Portuguese is actually like upper intermediate at this point, advanced even. I had an entire hour-long business meeting actually with a Brazilian woman, and she only knows Portuguese.
Wow.
And it was kind of that moment that I realized, like, wow, I think my Portuguese is actually pretty decent.
That's
like,
amazing. No, that's yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is really, I found it to be like having to be really patient with myself, and because it just takes a long time. Even if somebody is doing like Duolingo and classes and talking all the time, it just takes a long time for a lot of people, especially at our age, to like learn a new language.
Absolutely.
And to be like around people who are supportive and to take breaks and like know that it's happening even if we're not trying, like that has all been really important.
So, social life. How has your social life been in Brazil so far? Especially in comparison to your experience with socializing in the U.S.
Yeah, I found my social life here is like really, it feels really different than the U.S. My friends in the U.S. are scattered all across the U.S. So every place I've lived, I found like I know several people who I'm really close with, and sometimes we're all connected to each other, and sometimes it's like a scattered community. But my people are now all physically in the same location, which just is a huge difference. And I think that comes from being new to a country, so it's not like I have all these connections already in other places, but I found that for me mentally it's really, really nice to kind of just be like, okay, I have there's like this integrated community that my sister has built over 5 years, and then I started to make my own friends as well. And yeah, I think it's a good mix of like integrated and also separate. And at this point, I also feel like I've only been here for a year, so I think in another year, I don't know how it's gonna look. I don't know if I'll know more people in other places in Brazil, have people to visit, or like just kind of how it will feel different.
So when you moved here, you were kind of like grandfathered into a social circle a little bit. So
yes. Which has its benefits and drawbacks, I would say.
Fair. That's true. That's true. When it comes to like making new friends, I know that you've told me a few stories about like people randomly talking to you. We had that guy come up to us when we were at the restaurant that one night.
Yeah.
And like if I was by myself, that probably would not have happened. So I'm going to wager that was because of you. Yeah. But when it comes to like making new friends, like on your own, outside of like the circle that maybe you had before, or through your sister, have you found it relatively easy or difficult to make friends? You also have the language barrier stuff. So like, how's that kind of been for you? Yeah,
no, definitely. Two of my closest friends are people that I actually met on Bumble BFF. So like an app for finding friends.
Oh, Alini was one of them, right? Okay.
And my friend Bea. We all met there, and both of them speak English. So I met them in January. And I wasn't speaking any Portuguese then. So our relationship started in English. Me and Alini now mostly speak in Portuguese. Me and Bea still mostly speak in English. But that was really cool because it's kind of I've had much better luck with Bumble with the friend route than with the dating.
Okay.
And I think it was just like everybody was open at that point, and you can really like see people's interests and like see what their vibe is. I haven't met up with anyone on Bumble BFF who I then didn't become friends with afterwards.
Gotcha. You've never had like a bad experience with the BFF
With
side
the BFF, no. That side of things has been great.
Okay.
And then I've also met people in cafes, like just, I don't know, like a barista, or mostly it's been a barista. There's just kind of an exchange that like leads into more of a deeper conversation. And yeah, I would say that it's died down a little bit, but for a while I couldn't leave the house without having some weird interaction with somebody. Like all kinds of weird stuff was happening to me.
Yeah.
I've really tried to.
I've heard a couple
control.
of those stories.
Yeah.
You mentioned the Bumble BFF stuff.
Yeah.
What's been your experience dating so far?
Yeah.
Like, do you typically use dating apps or Bumble, or have you met people just in person?
Yeah.
What's been your dating experience? Has it been mostly positive, negative?
It's been so weird. Like, I think that 90% of what has happened to me in Brazil has been positive. So far, the bureaucracy has been a lot, but like generally, I feel like culturally, I feel much more relaxed. I feel much more myself, inspired, creative. Dating is just the outlier. Dating is that 10% where I'm like, what is going on here? And I think I know part of it is me, but I was dating somebody who I met at a cafe for like the first 6 months of being here. And this person spoke English, and that was really cool. It was like my first real relationship outside of my sister and her community. And so that was just like one kind of way of getting to know dating here. And then that relationship ended. And since that ended, like, it's just been very weird. Like, I am approached by people, and there's no catcalling in Curitiba. Like, there's like an energy, like, I really feel very, very safe and very, like, autonomous when I'm moving around Curitiba.
Yeah.
So it's just weird. They're like, people come up to me and just are like, oh, I see something in you that connects to me, like a spiritual connection. And I'm like, okay, that's just a little strange. Or I've been on some, Bumble for dating, and everything has just not been awesome. Like, it's not been bad, but it's not been like, wow. Kind of like, there's like some similarities with like trying to cook my own meal here. It's like, okay, it's just like the ingredients, I'm not quite used to them yet or something. Like,
okay.
It's just been a little bit underwhelming and mediocre, I would say. But I think a third thing is just like, I'm kind of in this like liminal cultural space where I'm like kind of relearning who I am now. And so I think that's reflective of like the dating experience. I'm just kind of not, it's like a magnet that's like not that strong. So I'm not like really landing it.
That's interesting, because a lot of, at least a lot of the men that I know that come to Brazil, they talk about how much their dating life has improved and how different it is.
Yeah.
But you're saying that for you, it's been kind of underwhelming.
Yeah.
It's been like, okay.
Yeah. Definitely.
Not terrible.
Yeah,
but
not terrible. My
not
friendships
great either.
have been so much better than my dating life, for sure.
Okay.
And in a way where it felt much harder for me to make really good friends in the U.S. And like the friends I have are like good. I have good friends there, but it took longer. It was like, and here I feel like that I've developed like pretty deep friendships with people in a shorter period of time. But then I think it's also partly just like my standards are maybe like inordinately high in the dating.
A little up there.
They're like a little bit up there. And so I'm just at this point where I'm like, I don't totally know what I'm looking for, but I know what I'm not looking for.
Gotcha. I would say that that's more important, actually, when it comes to dating, especially. When it comes to what you're looking for, what you're not looking for, when it comes to what we're looking for, most of us are looking for, someone who's nice, someone who's caring, someone who's maybe ambitious, has stuff going on with their life. But the stuff that you're looking for is typically not going to be the problem points in a relationship. It's going to be the stuff that you're not looking for that's gonna rear its ugly head and kind of mess things up down the road.
Yeah.
But would you say that the cultural differences or linguistic challenges could be playing a role in that as well? Or do you think that it's, what exactly do you think could be causing, not necessarily difficulties, but
just like a lack of
I really like this person.
Yeah.
And did you experience that in the U.S. easily, or would you say it was just as difficult in the U.S.?
Oh, that's really interesting. No, I felt like in the U.S. I was finding people that I did really connect with, but sometimes it ended up not being like that great over the long term. And so I think there's two things happening. One is that I'm getting quicker at identifying stuff that doesn't work for me, and then I'm not like waiting years and years to be like, oh, actually this is not great. Mm-hmm. So I'm getting comfortable.
If you're gonna fail, it's good to fail quickly.
Good to fail quickly. Fail quickly,
fail
often.
quickly. Yeah, fail quickly, fail often, for sure.
And then the other thing is that, yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think there are cultural differences that are like really hard to name. Like, I don't even know that I have words for them right now, but but I think that this has been such a transformative year for me of like cultural unlearning and relearning, and that I'm still trying to figure out kind of like who I am here and what I want here, and like it because it has been, I feel like I've peeled off like cultural layers of myself. Like I thought I do really love like working hard and being motivated, but I also love to relax, and I did not know that about myself before. So right. I'm kind of like, oh, this is who I am. Like, so then what does that mean about who I'm attracted to? And but yeah, I think that I don't even know. I'll be curious in a year to report back, because I do feel I'm like a baby right now. I'm like, what is going on where there's, what's the disconnect? Like, what is it really?
Yeah, it can be hard to put your finger on sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, my dating experience has been...
Yes, please say more about it.
It's been good overall, but I would say there's certainly some cultural differences that make things more difficult.
Yeah.
Brazilians, when it comes to dating and romance, they tend to move a bit quick compared to what we're used to in America
true.
and the U.S. Like, we're talking to Milka, both of us probably, about some of this stuff.
I was about to bring her up. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the last time I was talking to her, she was telling me, like, yeah, like in Brazil, you meet someone, you might date for a month. And you're talking about like moving in or what are we and stuff like that. And in the U.S., there's always this game of like who cares the least about the other person, and stuff moves very slow.
Yeah.
Relatively speaking.
That's true, Brazil. And I think that maybe has been part of what's hard for me, is like I'm so used to that, and so it's a little bit of a turnoff when people are just like, I'm into you, and I'm like, oh, but shouldn't we wait? Like now what? Now
you like me? Brother,
So like, now what's next? Like, no, it's not actually like that, but yeah, that is a huge difference.
Yeah.
There's more like hedging your bets a little bit.
Yeah, I personally have not experienced this like, super fast. Actually, I guess I have. I've experienced a couple of things.
Yeah.
I had that experience with the person that is very insistent on messaging me repeatedly.
Yeah.
Without me replying, and like I've never had like 40 unread messages in my life before this.
One line, one word, right?
Yeah.
A lot of them were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when it comes to Brazilian women, they're definitely more possessive, more jealous. They will tend to move things quickly if they do like you. And I would say that overall they offer a lot. However, and there's, I guess, sort of a stereotype of this, of like Latinas and stuff like this. It's like there is that sort of fiery side that you have to know how to like deal with or not.
Right.
But that certainly is a thing. Dating here has been overall much better for me compared to the U.S.
Yeah.
Dating in the U.S. is kind of trash right now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I am not here to say that I miss dating in the U.S. at all. No, that was definitely a part of why I left. I was just like, I don't know, things are not working here, and it's different here. But it makes me feel motivated and curious. It doesn't feel like this is a challenge I can't overcome. I'm just more like, wow, like there's so many different kinds of people in Curitiba. There's like a lot of really like artsy leftist people. There's a lot of people who are more like traditional normative, and I just feel like, I don't know, it's kind of a matter of finding your way to like the right communities, and then
kind of finding yourself too, like you said. I feel like there's a portion of this that is about you also kind of learning who you are in this new country, this new city.
Totally.
And perhaps once you kind of figure that out and get more settled in, I guess you can say.
Yeah.
Perhaps that'll make you more open to what's going on here
Yeah.
on the dating scene.
Definitely.
So that's your dating experience so far. What's it been like? And actually, I made a video on this yesterday, kind of about like work, sustaining yourself, money, things like that, if you're living abroad. I know that you have like a couple of big projects you've been working on, which has been really cool. Do you want to talk about kind of what you've been doing for work, what some of your business projects are? Like, what have you been doing to keep yourself busy and sustain yourself out here?
Yeah, so work has actually been like a huge focus of mine since getting here, partly because my sister and I for the last 5 years have been dreaming of building a business together and just like not sure how to do that from afar. So now that I'm here, we really wanted to hit the ground running, and it's been kind of a non-linear process, but we're finally in a position that I'm really excited about.
Okay.
But basically, so my context is that I have had my own business designing. It's kind of a different thing than most people are used to hearing about, but designing games for people, mental health games, to help them work through all kinds of issues in their lives. So they're kind of like therapeutic games for dealing with work challenges, personal challenges with how you relate to yourself, and just really like kind of tapping back into this like inner child, playful spirit, but then also a lot of creative thinking that sometimes when there's a big challenge in life, it's hard to go from like point A to point B to figure it out. And so the games are ways to get us out of our heads, thinking creatively, and it's been amazing. I was doing this a little bit before I got here, but since being in Brazil, there's just such a like creative spirit here. A lot of people are artists, and a lot of people have like lots of different things that their projects they're working on. So I found a lot of inspiration from like the culture here of just like play more, collaborate more, like take risks, just do something before you're ready. And yeah, so I'm building lots of games for people in their personal lives. But since being here with my sister, we're actually starting to bring these games to companies as well, and think about how series of games can help workplaces become like basically deal with burnout, deal with all this like hidden tension and friction in an organization that inevitably happens at the beginning, middle, or end of a company.
Right.
And part of why we're doing this too is that we're trying to create bridges for people from the U.S. and global North in general to see Brazil especially for its healthcare system. Like that is why my sister is here. And my mental health, my physical health is better than ever, and I know it's because like there's a public healthcare system and a private healthcare system that work in tandem, and I've just the quality of care has been amazing here. But there's a lot of like really entrenched narratives and beliefs in the U.S. around like Brazil and technology and just being so far behind the U.S. in so many ways, and so we're basically using games to help both meet companies like where they are in their friction needs and challenges, but then also to create pathways to kind of like through the game you can start to see new pathways open up for like where you could get care, and also just what well-being looks like in general outside of the U.S. cultural context.
I see. It's cool that you mentioned that you're kind of reaching out to companies and businesses to see how you can kind of help them, which is something that I've also been doing a lot with my business and my company recently. Like, I'm definitely helping like individuals and families and stuff like that, but I've been reaching out a lot more and kind of developing relationships and contracts with other businesses, other organizations, universities and things like this. And it's really sort of expanded this whole other side of like doing business and working and stuff like that. And there are two different beasts. Like working with sort of like high ticket organizations is what they're looking for is very different, and what's important to them is very different from maybe what an individual wants or a student or a family of 3 or something like that.
Sure. Yeah.
But super cool. Like I would say that the gamification of stuff, and your focus is really on like mental health, maybe healthcare in general, actually. Yeah. But the gamification of like making progress, for me personally, that's something that is super interesting. And there's been times, even right now, where I kind of gamify, like personally, I gamify my own life to inspire me to make progress. Like I have an app on my phone that gives me streaks for like certain habits that I'm either trying to break or form.
Yeah.
And that sort of like gamified, I don't know, element to it has really pushed me to, like I don't want to break my streak.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say it's been super helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. It helps you feel excited and focused.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And when it comes to like cost of living, because like for me, cost of living in Brazil has been night and day compared to the U.S.
Yeah.
How would you say your experience has been with dealing with your, I guess, finances here, the cost of rent? You own this very nice apartment.
Yeah.
So you don't like pay rent, but like when it comes to food, bills, stuff like internet.
Yeah.
How would you say that compares to what your life was like in the U.S. before?
Yeah. I mean, I was like, couldn't imagine buying property in the U.S. I was looking.
That is out of the question for most people our age.
Yeah. It's like not possible. And so yeah, my apartment costs $200,000, and it's in a city. It's in like one of the nicer neighborhoods in Curitiba.
This is one of the nicest neighborhoods in the city.
Yeah. On the 12th floor, views of the mountains, like 3-bedroom, and I was just like, okay, I am in a financial position where I can like make this work. And what this has opened up for me, both like now and in terms of just the feeling of security, like both housing and then also healthcare. Food is sometimes I think it's cheaper definitely, but sometimes feels like a little bit on par with the U.S. Although I haven't been there for a year, so I think I've like lost track.
Kind of forgotten what it's like.
Yeah, it is.
I remember a meal at like Chipotle, just for like a burrito and some chips and guacamole. That was like over $20.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I've lost. All right, so it's housing, healthcare, food, transportation. I live a block from like a bus terminal, and Curitiba's transportation is amazing. I don't have a car. I have a bike, but Uber's also really, really cheap. So I mean, earning in dollars and living here is definitely a huge privilege, and it's something that I really am thinking critically about, both about like for people in the U.S. or other places who want to make a viable transition to, not, it's everything. Like it's you're taking a leap of faith, and if there are ways that like the business I'm building can create pathways for people to land here, temporarily have some income, that's something I'm interested in, but also reinvesting in Brazil, like not having U.S. dollars just not having Brazil be extracted from, or also like Brazilians all generally want to go to the U.S. It's very uncommon for people from the U.S. to come here. So just thinking about like what I can do to shift the narrative too of like what Brazilians are leaving behind by choosing to go to the U.S. So I'm really thinking about like what does it mean under capitalism to like still build these pathways of reciprocity where the dollar is very strong here. So how am I like redistributing, giving back to local initiatives in Curitiba? I'm really at the beginning of that process, but it's really part of my value set to like make sure that I am not just taking, I am also really giving back here.
So a very good point. Because unfortunately I feel like there's a lot of people in the sort of travel space, or you even have like you have a lot of people in the travel space, people that are just kind of going to other countries like Brazil just to like exploit, or just
save
for the
money.
And a angle I've always had and I want to maintain as long as I live here is that like I am in a privileged position. I do earn money in like dollars, and I have I speak English fluently, natively. But I never want to just like benefit from living in Brazil without giving back. I really want to continue building the community that I have here to help people learn English and other foreign languages. I have a lot of other like crazy ideas of stuff I want to do for the country in general. Like in a lot of ways, Brazil is still developing quite a bit, and I see that as like a good thing if you're a foreigner that's living here, because that means there's a lot of gaps that you can still fill. So why not fill them? I would love to create like a business that cleans up the city, and I would love to start like a volunteer group. Actually, out of the community that I already run, I want us to start volunteering, cleaning stuff up, removing like graffiti from walls and stuff like that. Something that's like, this is super random, but something I would love to see is a better transportation system in Brazil.
Between cities.
Between cities.
Yeah.
Yes, not only for civilian use, but like for their logistics in general, for moving supplies and products and stuff across the country.
Yeah, there's some dangerous roads here.
Yeah, right now the only
Train
option,
infrastructure is not-
there's no train infrastructure at all. And like the US is bad with like that sort of long distance train infrastructure, but like Brazil has kind of pretty much nothing.
Yeah.
It's all done by like trucks and roads and stuff like that, which is it's bad for the environment, it's bad for the roads.
Yeah, it's bad for people. It's very dangerous.
It's bad for people.
Yeah, a lot of accidents.
Yeah. So something I would love to one day, a dream of mine, is to maybe get like a sort of railroad system going in the country or something like that. Like in general, basically I would love to just like build the country and my city, especially Curitiba, as much as possible.
Because it just feels like the amount my well-being increased in 1 year of being here, like now it's my turn to, 20 years, 30 years, be like, okay, how do I channel this both for more people from outside of Brazil to experience this, but like in equal and opposite measures to people in Brazil also experiencing that.
Right. Okay. Now, as a business owner that now lives here in Brazil, how would you say living in Brazil has affected your idea or your mindset around what it means to be successful? The idea of success. How has living in Brazil changed that for you? In your ideas around like what the American dream is?
That's such a good question. What first comes to mind is that success looks like having your health, like in your body, and that is both mental health and physical health. I think about how many times I've been working in the U.S. and also what I've inherited and brought here, and I've just felt so much anxiety and like forgetting to eat and forgetting to take care of myself and just how much I've internalized that as like, well, we're not really bodies, we're just minds and we're trying to make money, and that can come at the expense of our health and our relationships and everything. And so it's like success to me is really about recentering health like deeply, both in terms of our physical and mental health and also the health of our relationships. And I think since being in Brazil, I have learned so much more about direct communication with people. I think there's a desire. It's not like there isn't a desire to communicate directly, but it doesn't always happen. And I found like a strength that I can bring from the U.S. is like trying to be direct, but then also bringing that along with like being like really centering health. So I think those two things for me, like if my business can be supporting more people to become like feel really healthy in their bodies, whatever that means for them.
No, I would say health is definitely the most important thing, like you can have all the money in the world, but if you don't have your health, like what does it matter? That's something that I've been thinking about a lot lately as well. And this whole year I've been just way healthier. Oddly enough, starting my business and like growing it and stuff like this has made me want to take better care of my health.
I get it. Yeah.
Because in the back of my mind, I'm like, say I'm successful, I reach all of my goals, I achieve all my dreams. If I'm not healthy, I can't even enjoy it, Exactly. The day that I have like a family and all of this stuff, like I won't even be able to enjoy them. I've never really lived like an unhealthy life. Yeah. But still just like small stuff like working out every day, eating better. Health is huge.
Drinking enough cachaça. Hydrating.
That one's been working against my health, I'm not gonna lie. The cachaça has been going against my health. Caipirinhas are just so good, though.
They're really good.
But yeah, no, I've been a lot more health conscious, I would say, this year since I moved to Curitiba.
Yeah.
And when it comes to like mental health, emotional health, I would say that since I moved to Brazil, it's been a lot better than what it was in the U.S.
Yeah. Same for me.
I can't say when I was living in Sao Paulo that wasn't necessarily the case. Sao Paulo is not really a city that I recommend unless you just like that sort of fast-paced, chaotic, crowded, congested, hustle and bustle life.
Yeah.
I am a hustler, but like I also really need, a view like this. I don't like looking at the skyline or like the I don't like looking at the horizon and not being able to see the sky or some trees.
Yeah.
And the air is just like a thick brown color.
No good.
And stuff like that. So in Sao Paulo, I wasn't exactly thrilled.
Yeah.
Since I moved to Curitiba, it's been nothing but like this for my mental health, emotional health, physical health, like pretty much everything across the board.
I feel that too. And I think a big part of it too is like when there's an acute issue, I don't feel like it's out of the realm of possibility to go see a doctor. Like whether that's for a skin issue, dental issue. Like it's like I feel like, I have more tools at my disposal to actually take care of myself when things are wrong.
Exactly.
So I didn't
Versus in the US, in the U.S., medical bankruptcy is the number one cause of bankruptcy, and you have so many people that go sick or pass away because they wouldn't go to the doctor because they knew that it might financially wreck them.
Exactly.
And it's like, I've been sick a number of times. We were talking about it earlier. Like, when my body was first adjusting to Brazil, I was getting sick constantly.
Yeah.
And if I've ever had to go to the doctor, it's been no problem at all. You know?
You can get an appointment.
Yeah, like same day, maybe next day if you go with like a private doctor. Yeah. But there's also the public healthcare system, which is pretty good here.
Right.
You don't have to worry about stuff like, seeing a doctor or healthcare costs messing up your finances.
Exactly. Like medical bankruptcy is not a thing in Brazil. I don't think it exists. Don't quote me on that, but I don't think there's like constitutionally there's no grounds for it. Mm-hmm. And the mental weight that takes off, like, yes, I'm doing therapy.
Huge.
Yes, it's beautiful, but I'm just like, that was playing all the way, always in the background.
Yeah, and you didn't really know it. Yeah, in ways you didn't even know.
It was for all of us.
Yeah. So, do you think that you will stay in Brazil permanently? Or do you see yourself ever going back to the U.S. or maybe to another country? Mm-hmm. Now that you've been here for a year, which isn't a super long time, but it's long enough for you to get the flow of everyday life, develop a social circle. Yeah. From what you know now, what would you say your ideas of the future are looking like?
Yeah. No, I mean, I was somebody who was like searching for home before, trying to find in all these U.S. cities, going back to my hometown a lot in the U.S., which is Charlottesville, Virginia. Mm-hmm. And since getting here, it's very clear to me, yes, my sister is here, and that is huge. If she decided to leave Curitiba, that might be a reason for me to rethink things. But they're doing all this construction on their house. They're like putting down roots for good.
They're investing for sure.
They're investing,
and you also invested. You have your own property here.
Yeah, I really did, and so now I feel like I have my home base, and it's an amazing place to explore from and come back to. Mm-hmm. But I think also because we're building the business in Brazil, it's like, and all of the relationships that we're building are here. It feels like I'm really putting down a root system that if I were to pick it up, it would be damaged, and like it would require a lot more thought about where to replant it than actually moving from the U.S. to here did, which is wild because I was in the U.S. for 32 years and I've been here for a year, and it does feel like my root system is deeper.
Yeah.
Stronger.
Yeah.
It's just like, how does that even happen? But
Curitiba is magical like that.
It is.
I don't know.
If you commit to it, it really is like it holds you.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there's a lot of Americans, maybe foreigners in general, who don't know much about Curitiba.
Fortunately and unfortunately.
Yeah, and I talked to you about that. Like, I almost want to keep Curitiba kind of a secret because it's such a nice place, and most Americans don't know about it.
Yeah.
People think about Brazil, they think about like Rio de Janeiro, Sao Paulo maybe, maybe Salvador in the Northeast. But like Curitiba is such a hidden gem. It's a big city, it's a capital city.
Yeah.
That has everything that you would want and need.
Yeah.
Tons to do here. You can have a lot of fun. You can build a business. There's just tons of opportunity here. The weather is perfect in my opinion.
Yeah.
Even when it does what it's doing today.
Does everything.
Yeah,
if you want a whole experience of all 4 seasons in one day, it's here.
Exactly. So that's why I love it, and I can't help but talk about it.
Yeah.
Or recommend it. But I think I'm gonna maybe stop talking specifically about Curitiba. Unless people like book a consultation with me, or it's like friends and family, then I'll give you the scoop.
Right, because it's
but
special.
yeah, what I don't want is for like a ton of people to come here.
Yeah.
And like raise the prices on everything, and then we start dealing with traffic.
No.
Because like what I love about the city is that it's alive. There's a lot to do. There's a lot of people here, but the city also goes to sleep as well.
It does. It really does.
Like today is Sunday. My schedule has been completely off this week, but I was walking over here because we live that freaking close.
Yeah.
I was walking over here and I was like, wow, it's freaking dead today. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's Sunday. Like it's Sunday. The streets are like quiet. There's just a couple of people walking on the sidewalks.
Yeah. People leave the city on the weekends and also just stay home.
Yeah. And I actually like that.
Me too.
Like I like that there's a lot that you can do. You can go out clubbing. You can go party.
Yeah.
You can hit the bars.
Parks.
Yeah.
The park system. But yeah.
But the city does sleep though.
It does sleep. And so it's not like this overstimulating environment all the time.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's hard to find that in a city that also has like a thriving cultural identity.
Right.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it the other day for myself. Like, would I go back to the U.S.? Like, if everything failed, or I was just struggling with this or that, and I just had to go back to the U.S., would I be able to do it? And it was rough to think about.
Yeah.
Like I really. I'll tell you guys about that in the next one. Definitely looking at getting a horse maybe at some point next year. I would love to just get a horse and go on some rides around.
And then you can't bring a horse on an airplane.
I can't. That was one thing that made me not want to go back to the U.S. actually. I'm like, I brought my cats here, and it's going to be it's going to be insanely difficult to take them back to the U.S., and I'm not leaving them in Brazil.
Yeah.
But with a horse, absolutely not. Especially once I give it a name and just
Totally.
That's not happening.
And it feels really different to like leave the U.S. than to move from like a state to another state in the U.S. Like it's like a lot of it's a lot of motivation, impetus to leave, and so to return, it would have to be like such a sweet deal, so much goodness happening there to call me back.
To make you go back to the U.S. I personally, I don't think I'll ever go back to the U.S. I might go to visit, and we were talking about this at the museum when we went the other week. I was like considering going back home for the holidays. And I didn't even want to go back home for the holidays. Just the thought of getting on the plane, like I know immediately, as soon as I'm on the plane, ready to take off to go to the U.S., like I would already be thinking about when I'm coming back. Be dreaming about when I'm coming back.
Yeah.
I feel like I will go visit eventually, maybe sometime next year.
Yeah.
But I would definitely prefer if friends and family came out to visit me. And I think that they would have a better time, to be honest.
Me too.
But cool. So just to wrap things up, it's been amazing talking to you. Do you have any other final thoughts or anything you would like to say to wrap up? Or
this is just so awesome to talk to you, and to also see the weather changing behind us. Literally it's been every single weather pattern. We got here and it was super steamy hot.
It was hot as hell.
I had to have the air conditioning on coming onto the porch, and I don't know. I just feel like that is like what Curitiba and this experience, this conversation is just like. There's so much changeability, and there's also something like so fluid about it that is super cool.
You gotta roll with the punches, as we were talking about. Like Curitiba's weather will make you learn to roll with the punches.
Carry an umbrella.
Yeah. Well, Seattleites don't use umbrellas. That's like what we're notorious for. We just eat it.
Yeah.
If it rains, you just eat it. You just come home looking like a wet puppy, like a wet stray cat.
Yeah, that's a choice. That's
But yeah, when I first got here, it was hot, sunny. I was almost passing the fuck out
yeah.
as I was crossing the street to get. I was like dragging myself to the front door of your building, and now it's like almost. I can feel it's kind of chilly, even with the windows closed.
Yeah.
I can feel like it's gonna cool down.
No,
And it even started raining a little bit. That's why we closed the windows.
nice.
But
Yeah.
no, I'm hella glad that we were able to talk finally.
Me too. I think this
super
is a
good.
narrative that isn't like that. It's not that common. I mean, I don't know if two other Americans living in Curitiba having these kinds of conversations.
If you're an American living in Curitiba,
Yeah.
leave a comment,
Hit us up.
Please.
Please.
We're trying to collect
Go
them
to
all.
Go Coffee and Capital.
Yeah. In fact, we should probably go to the barista. He's like the yellow pages of
For
gringos
sure,
here.
for sure.
He knows where everyone is.
Oh yeah, he does.
But yeah, no, super good talking to you. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day. I know we're both super busy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was good. It was good chatting and picking your brain on your life, your experience before, during, and some of your ideas. Yeah, continuing your ideas with the future. We definitely have to do this again.
We gotta.
I'm gonna hit you up, and we can even go into some more like specific topics.
Yeah, we could do like an episode on all the weird shit that's happened to us.
We're
Episode by episode.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. We'll talk about some of the weirdest stuff,
Yeah.
some of the biggest challenges that we've had. Maybe we'll do some more interviews and just kind of like focus on that in particular.
Yeah.
Because there's been a lot of weird stuff for both of us.
Yeah.
We can grab some food and some drinks or something after and discuss that off camera. But for now, it was super good talking to you. I appreciate you taking your time.
Yeah.
And if you guys liked it, like, subscribe. We're going to have some more talks like this. Going to interview some other Americans here as well, or other foreigners in general. And yeah, we'll go from there.
Super.
We'll see you guys in the next one.
Yeah.